Hi. Now, my title is Why Are Making Decisions So Hard? I don't have all the answers today, but I have a couple of things I'd like to share with you, and we'll see how we go. I'm in the process of making a big decision, but I've always found decisions difficult, and I think part of the reason is because I have a bit of perfectionist tendencies in me, and I don't like to be wrong. Not that that would surprise those of you who know me quite well. It's tricky. And the thing with making decisions is there's often no right answer. So you're stuck because you don't want to be wrong. But as I said, there's not normally a right answer. And sometimes you actually have no way of knowing whether the decision you're making is for better or for worse until you've made it. And it might be years later. You might never know. You know, we can't actually have those sliding door moments where we go back and try and see what would happen if we'd made a different decision in the first place. So one of the reasons why making decisions is difficult is because you might be perfectionist. So, and the second reason, so I'm sharing a couple today, and if you're here, I saw that someone was watching, send me a like so I know who you are. Second reason is anxiety. We're worried. We're worried about making changes, and we think that by not making a decision, we can avoid change. We don't have to deal with the uncertainty that happens when you do something different, when you elect to change something. And normally when you make a decision, there's often a change. The trick with that is, though, is that not making a decision is making a decision. All right, am I spinning you around in circles? Perhaps if I give you a concrete example. My first thing I wanted to do today was to share a problem-solving model. So, and this is a strategy that we sometimes use in therapy when we're stuck and we get stuck. And, you know, a typical problem might be my child can't get to sleep, my child gets out of bed, my child doesn't want to go to school, my child's fighting with their friend. And you know, there's lots and lots of problems that come up. So I thought I'd have a go at applying the 6-step problem-solving model to a decision that I'm facing. So I have more visuals, and the first step is this one. What is the problem and whose problem is it? Sometimes it's easy to see what the problem is. Sometimes it's really hard, and if you don't quite nail this, you find out later down the track and you'll come back to it. So in my case, the problem is one of my children isn't happy at school but would like to move school. So the problem is kind of the school experience. All right, so that's number one. Number 2 step is to brainstorm. The wackier the better. There's no right or wrong, and everyone needs to be involved. So whoever the problem affects need to be involved in the brainstorming. Really important. So it's no good if, as parents, you sit down with your 10-year-old and not include your 10-year-old child who's having trouble going to sleep. No, we want them to be part of the brainstorming. And I would say anything goes as long as you don't hurt yourself or someone else, or it's not illegal, or it's illegal. Other than that, brainstorming is all about loosening up the mind, creativity. Okay, so we go back to the problem that we had was about wanting to change the school experience, and it's broken up into a couple of things, but one of them's transport. We don't want to be on the bus. We want to move to the school that's closest to us. Okay. Now, when I was having this conversation with the other stakeholder, they didn't really want to entertain too many other ideas. They didn't want to look at, you know, how we could perhaps improve things. Okay. But anyway, we've got a couple of ideas down. Then the third one, evaluate. Okay, so everyone has to go through the steps and wrong way. Tick, cross, maybe we need more information. And obviously the suggestions that have a cross, we don't even consider. They're gone, they're out of the picture. And you might end up with a few suggestions that have ticks. And in some cases, you can use all of those. So if we're going back to changing the school experience, we might have, all right, how about if you ride to school instead of catching the bus? How about if we work on how you can form better relationships with the teachers? You know, how about if we, etc., etc. There are a couple of others. So that was 3. Then the fourth one is pick a solution and try it. We give it a go. We pick what sounds great, and sometimes you pick more than one, and we give them a go. We give it a decent time frame. And I'm looking for number 5. I wonder if you can guess what comes next after we give something a go. All right. Did it work? Did it fix the problem? Did it make any difference? If it did, great, keep doing it. You've fixed it up. Sometimes it's as simple as that. What about if it doesn't work? Well, that's okay. Because the 6th step, if it didn't, try something else. Or go back to the problem. Now, the situation I had when I was looking at this whole thing about moving schools, my child wants to move schools. He doesn't see it as a problem other than that he wants to move schools. What I discovered was when we look at who the problem is, it's kind of mine. It's really not his. The resistance comes from me. So, back to the question about why making decisions and problem solving is so difficult. Yes, perfectionism. 2, anxiety. The third one, and there's more, but the third one here, it's about our values. And sometimes we don't even know what our values are. And sometimes making decisions, there's a clash of values between yours and someone else's. And that's when it gets really tricky. So if you're making a decision and you don't know what's underneath your resistance, kind of makes defining the problem and working out brainstorming difficult. But what I've discovered by going through the process, the reason why we couldn't get the brainstorming to really work, we had the problem wrong. It's my problem. So there you go. That's pretty important information to share in terms of making decisions and problem solving, getting that right. So the process is useful. It uncovers things we don't know and it makes you look at values. And that's something I need to work through. How do I do that? I can review my objections. I can look at my resistance and where the values come from and which of those values is going to hold more sway. Now, one of my overriding values, value education, but even more than that, I do value my kids having a positive school experience, because the research shows us and tells us when kids look back, or when adults look back over their school life, they don't really remember what they learnt. They remember how they felt. So if my child's going to a school because I value it and they're having a terrible time and would rather not be there, what are they going to remember? What are they going to feel from their school days? They're not going to thank me for it. So there you go. So I hope that's provided you with some food for thought, because it provided me with some food for thought. Once again, our mental health is a tricky thing, but it's a very interesting thing where our brain goes and why some things are harder than others. All right, so I'm going to leave it there and we're counting down the days. Not too many more days left in the awareness challenge, and after that I'm heading straight into creating Christmas Calm, which I'm really excited about. And if you're interested in that, I'll might put the link to the group underneath, the link for you to follow if you're interested in that. And if you like these videos, please share them. I love to think that whatever I'm sitting here talking about can be useful to someone. So let's share them as wide as we can. And thanks for watching. Okay, bye for now.